What's up, y'all? It's just Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. Y'all know what day it is. It's Hump Day. What do we do on Hump Day? Project Runway. It's season 21. What episode is this? I don't remember what episode it is. 8, I think. 7, 8. Anyway, we're here to discuss these fashions. How's y'all's Hump Day? My Hump Day is a bit of a hump. We like to discuss what are we doing on these days. On this day, this hump day, my hump day is humping. But I'm here humping on through with y'all. So hopefully y'all will hump on through with me as well. Hey, El Cid, you in the bushes? El Cid is in the bushes and she would like for y'all to hit the like button. And El Cid just came from over on her own live talking about the King's Court. The King's Court is over, but if you would like to travel the world blindly and see what love is like all over the world, France, Brazil, Australia, all these various places, see how the people get down, other places in their dating life. Y'all check out El Cid 932 and she'll hook y'all up with all the languages of love. Today we in some language of fashion. Ain't a whole lot of fashion over here. It's so disappointing, to be honest, because I go through the Facebook page or what have you, and they mad over there. They don't like any of the designers, and they especially don't like Law Roach. I don't like to go down. I told y'all these Facebook groups are something new to me, and I feel like what the best thing for me to do is stay out of the conversation. Thank you, El Cid. She said, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with someone who enjoys to talk about these things. Let's talk about it. We back at the runway, and who we got? VJ and Yu-Chin. They're in the bottom with these Western looks that were so disturbing, to be honest. We gave our opinions last week. We don't want to go through a car wash and we don't want horn titties on our dress. So apparently, if you're a judge, the horn titties are far worse than the car wash dress. So Yu-Chin got sent home. And it's so funny because, I think that was the right choice. I hated this dress. I didn't see, I feel like, Yu-Chin gave up. And when you give up, this is where you go. And to be honest, Yu-Chin, you didn't have a whole lot of competition over here. So really, if you would have gave it your all, you might have had a better shot. But anyway, he did not. He went out on some horn titties. And somebody, I think it was over in TikTok, somebody let me in on a little tea that I was not aware of. So apparently, horn titties are not that offensive to everyone. Maybe, just me and some of y'all probably. But did y'all know that Sexy Red was over at the VMAs with her own version of some little horn titties? She has a devil tail and the whole nine. Now, I'm a little bit long in the tooth, and so I don't necessarily appreciate Sexy Red's style of music. She might be for some. She is not for me. I would rather not with any of this. But Yu-Chin, who wore it better? Who did a better job? Whose horn titty dress do you think is the best? Sexy Red's little teeny, baby devil horn titties, or Yu-Chin's big, enormous cattle horn titties? Anyway, how many times can you say horn titty in a live without getting flagged? I don't think they flag people like for that necessarily, but I'm going to get off the titties because I'm feeling uncomfortable myself. Anyway, Yu-Chin has been live for 2 days straight on IG. He and Antonio were flirting a lot on the show. Yu-Chin and Antonio, I guess, I feel like it's in a relationship destined for failure because they're both very sassy. But those Estradas flirt with everyone. Antonio and Jesus be flirting with everyone, that comes on that show that, may somehow be a part of the alphabet community. Anyway. This week's challenge is real models with a skin condition, and that's wild. Like, what do you mean real people with skin conditions? Who's coming up with these challenges? I feel like I could come up with a whole lot of new challenges that we haven't done before, and I think, This budget ain't budgeting. Who is working? What channel is this? Peacock, Disney? Disney, you cannot begin to tell me that you don't have no coin. Please. If Netflix and Netflix, I think, has the older ones, but if Lifetime got enough coin, for goodness sakes, Disney, y'all better up the coin because this was a atrocity. Anyway, we're over here trying to design clothes for people with eczema. And I would say the hard part about that is obviously the fabrication. I don't think the design matters a whole lot, but I guess you should be careful. Let's get rid of sexy red. I'm sorry. Yeah, the design doesn't have to make a whole lot of interfere with your creativity. It's just the fabric. These people have a skin condition, so I guess you should be, careful about, tight fitting things and depending on where their issue is. Anyway, child, this is what they came up with, and I've spent far too long talking about it. The button bag. Have we seen the button bag this season? Bring back the button bag. Because I feel like the button bag makes things a little more fair. Anyway, we're going to pick which person is attached with each designer. Christian said Disney money, but yes, this is definitely Tubi money. I feel like I could have put together a better production. I can't afford Heidi and Jude Law, child, though. All the nuances that they took away, like watching the contestants bond over the apartment. Elsie, you've talked about how the picking of the models, all of these things play into part of why we fall in love with their fashion, their story. And it definitely influences. Like, we didn't get to see the camaraderie. I would have loved to see a little flirtatious situation going on between Yu Chin and Antonio over here in the workroom. But they made everything be about the brothers. So, that's what we was over here talking about, the Estrada brothers. Speaking of, Jesus, what the heck is going on? He gets together with his model, and his behavior is completely inappropriate. They was like on a whole date. At one point, that model had his hands all over his thighs. All over Jesus' thighs. They was giggling and carrying on, and the whole time they was doing all that talking, Jesus was not doing a whole lot of listening as to what his client might want. And I want to know what these designers think they're going to be designing for. It's for clients. Clients have input. I've never designed anything that somebody didn't want to adjust a little bit according to what their likes are. And that's why you sit down with a client in a sketchbook and they say, I like this about me and I like to cover this up. And if you have eczema on certain places, there's certain things, I like things a little loose. These are what consultations are for. I do consultations every day in my hairstyling behind the chair. And that's where you make or break the situation. You ask the person for a visual. And I'm talking about hair right now. So y'all will be on the same page and you'll be able to tell that person, no, you can't have that look. This person has a lot more hair than you, or, that's actually, what do you call it? Photoshop. So nobody's hair is really that color. You get a chance to have the consultation. These designers all had an opportunity to have consultations with their client. Every day is not a runway where you stuff some model in some horn titties and expect it to, make you some money. That's not, come on. So I guarantee you, let me stop because everybody's taste is different. Anyway, I don't know. I just feel like he was definitely doing a whole lot of flirting, that Jesus, not a whole lot of listening. I heard everything the man said he didn't like. He doesn't like to look so feminine. He's a gay man, but he would prefer looking a little more masculine. He doesn't like sparkly things. What do? Get right down to that fabric store and start shopping for yourself and not your client. And so you're over there getting sparkly things, and he's asked you not to do that. Did you at least get a phone number or something? Because y'all was doing the most. Good grief. Ethan is over here struggling to bring a gaggy moment to, a real person. And he got lucky because his person was very open to, any of the things that he wanted to do. So I don't know how come you can't really pull a gaggy moment together based on the fact that you have a client that said, run it. I'm here to be sexy. Bring Utica in here. The 1 week Utica should have been here, she was not. I feel like she came through for a little bit of a moment, but Ethan has to figure out who his client is. And his client is clearly not everyday real people. Everyday real people do not always be looking for a gaggy moment. You can't walk out your door every day feeling gaggy. Sometimes you just want to be chill. So, and he, like I said, had the luxury of having a client that was like, run it, do your thing. So thank God for that. She's not trying to hide her eczema. So, you know, if it's on her shoulders, she don't care. Let her shoulders be out. Ethan walks himself in the fabric store and goes straight to the beaded, scratchy fabric. Like, the one thing I'm not understanding why the fabric has such an impact on their design. They went over there for the Sofia Vergara challenge and pulled denim and gray wool out of a bag, and all this creativity came out for some people. Now all of a sudden you got a fabric store full of things. Just don't make it be scratchy, and y'all are all in a like fog. And I don't think that's it. I think Ethan has to learn that glamour and over the top and, you know, gag moments are not always built on sparkles and, you know, embellishment or straps and your coochie. I'm sorry. Let me don't. I don't want to dwell on this talent that we've had this season. I'm not the only one saying it, but yeah. So he went and got some scratchy beaded fabric for his model who suffers from a skin condition. That's actually the challenge. Now he in the workroom and Christian is making him nervous, and he got to pivot his whole idea because Christian is like, hey, about that whole scratchy stuff you went over there and bought. The lady said this is not what the challenge is. So thankfully he bought other fabric. He was going for was he going to put them beads on that white? Ethan's taste level is a little bit problematic, but I feel like he has some growing to do. He's transitioning from drag queen to fashion designer, and that's going to take some time. He definitely could be a red carpet designer, though, because he does have some really cool over-the-top ideas. But he went with the white fabric, thank God, and because this is a real person, and you wanted to go ahead and wear your outfit. Although I feel like that lady would have wore the beads and, ran with that too. But he ended up doing the ink blot technique on some white fabric, which, has been done before, but so has everything. Melania, y'all's favorite. And when I say y'all, I mean the judges. She doesn't ever want to listen to anyone, Melania, so there's not going to be any difference over here with an actual client. Melania ended up with the only person that looked like an actual model. This should have been very easy for her. Her model did not have the same personality as Ethan. Ethan won with the personality. The personality model always sells your garment, whether she likes it or not. This little girl was tall, beautiful, like a model, and I feel like if she liked her outfit, she maybe would have gave you a little more. Melania is all in her feelings because the young lady said she's not a fan of Prince. I feel like a lot of people are not a fan of Prince. And, Melania be making bozo costumes with polka dots and things. So you pick fabrics that a lot of people are going to be averse to, I feel like. Most people are a little bit more low key. That girl's energy was saying nothing but I'm very low key. It doesn't mean she's not fly. She's a beautiful girl, but she's not, trying to walk around in no Bozo the Clown pants or whatever you want to make out of it because she likes to do that. Anyway, I'm like, girl, you got the only model that looks like a model. You should be, going out of your mind with lots of ideas. Maybe they're all burnt out. But I feel like a lot of these designers come over here being a one note, and I only use this kind of fabric, and I only work in black, and I only work in prints. And that's not how the world only works. So And if it's your business, fine. If I'm looking for some kooky costumey kind of thing, you know, Melania might be my girl. And I don't mean as she could very well have a piece over there that's wild, and you would be like, okay, yeah, I want one of these. But then, you know, you tone it down everywhere else. She wants to be like over the top everywhere, somewhat like Ethan, but you know, she doesn't like to listen. And when you have a client, that's unfortunate, girl. You got to listen. This is an earthy girl. And honestly, that's her only restriction. I didn't hear her coming up with a whole lot of, I don't do this, I don't do that. She's just not really into a bright prince. Huh, girl. So, yeah, is she going to listen? No, she actually went in the fabric store, honestly, and found a wool print that was somewhat her meeting in the middle. It was a little bit of her energy with the print, but it was low key enough that I feel like the young lady wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. It was a good compromise. But then she went and got some silver lame, and I don't know, like, who are you designing for, girl? Donna Summers, silver lame, really? These challenges just throw them off. They get all, and it's like season 21. It's season 21. If you get approved and invited onto the show, you should spend however many weeks before or days before binge watching Project Runway, studying Project Runway, seeing, you know, what the good things were during the course of what the judges said. Not a whole lot has changed. You know, trends change, but stay on trend. And right now I'm wondering who's seeing. Is there copycatting going on over here? Because, you know, for as far as ideas in fashion, I don't know. It's not really here. I don't know any of them really that have a brand yet. Melania keeps saying she just found herself. I think they're all finding themselves in a way. I know VJ thinks she found herself, but she still got some work to do on who her audience, who, you know. And when they say VJ has designed for, you know, some runway person, I don't know. I don't know half the people on the red carpet, but I've heard somebody, you know, quite famous enough wore one of her gowns. I can't remember who. Joseph McCray has a brand. He's the only one. Where is he at? Not here. That's unfortunate. Y'all made a mistake. Y'all could have kept Joseph and got rid of Melania a long time ago, because here she is being a weirdo. Anyway, Antonio has a good connection with his client. It's almost like, so I have cousins that are twin sisters. And Joan also has a brand. You're right. I don't know what Yu Chin's brand was. He lost it somewhere along the way, I feel like. But yeah, I have cousins that are twins. They're sisters. And I don't know if they do it so much now. I feel like now as adults, their personalities are so distinct for me that I don't have any problems figuring out who I'm talking to. But I used to go stay over there, play with them, and I'm older than they are. So, you know, it's always like, oh, I get to go play with the twins. And when you go over there, and this is, I'm talking about, we were small children. You go over there, and one of them, I won't say their names. I'll be calling myself a triplet. But one of them will be very quiet, and the other one will be very talkative. And then after like a couple of hours of being over there, all of a sudden they would switch energy, and then the other one would become talkative, and, you know, and the other one quiet. And I'm like, come on now, y'all just don't want me to know who's who. They can never fool me with that now, because I know, you know, I know their personalities a lot better. But yeah, it's almost like Jesus and Antonio switched energy. Antonio was over here being very attentive to his connection. I mean, to his client. He was listening. He was listening to find out what she likes, a little bit about her lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? If you know your client's lifestyle, you know what dress they're not about to be wearing. So they come to an understanding. She out here trying to get her groove back. She needs to be sexy. Her body was probably the shape of most of us. not like this tall, thin model looking girl like Melania had to work with over here. She didn't have any issues. It's both, I would say, Antonio and Ethan's model were, just regular shaped. You know what I'm saying? So you got to work with what people's um, assets are versus what they don't like. And I feel like we all have that. This lady was in love with her cleavage and he made sure to work with that. So I was impressed with Antonio, I'm going to say. I love how he treated his client and how he was listening, how he was excited. He had her amped up about the design before she even seen it. So, yeah, shout out to Antonio for getting it right this week. VJ's client is a boy. She's definitely considering his personal style. I don't know why I don't know why VJ didn't figure out something. If VJ gonna do something, she gonna have a cut, a slit, a square, a panel of something. This time she doesn't want to do it. She just wants to be very conservative, and she was about pleasing her client. And when you're designing for a guy, we'll get to what the reveal baby could have been, but she opted out real low key on the reveal. So let's go ahead and get to this runway. Ciao. They knocking him out because hell, I guess we should be at the daggum finale then. How many people? What are we doing? Oh boy, I'll start with VJ because I felt like hers was the most boring. But VJ got a boy model and he was giving very much Kanye energy. I thought the way he was walking, she does a good job at tailoring. I'm not mad at it. It's just I don't see nothing special about it. They said that I heard Law Roach say that the jacket is, tailoring on the jacket is good. It's all right. I guess, girl. It looks very generic, to be honest, but VJ does a lot of intricate work that you probably can't see, that I would probably be able to critique it better if I was looking at it in real life. But I thought it looked good. Her client was happy. Did she have a reveal? No, she did not. What she could have done is maybe lined it with something very unexpected, and when he take the jacket off, then it's there's your reveal. She could have borrowed a little Miss Jones energy and lined that jacket with some of the stuff Miss Jones was making them suits out of. A nice brocade, It gives us still a little nice weight in your jacket, and it would have been a cool little shoot. When he took that jacket off, something, maybe to match up a little bit with the sweater with some little green kind of interest in it. I don't know, but that's to me the best way to have a reveal for someone who is, he's a young guy. What is he going to wear? A cape? Probably not. So as much as the other contestants were hating on that, I feel like VJ did what she was supposed to do, and that's make her client happy. So he said he was feeling swagged out and he was getting ready to rock that thing. You know what I'm saying? He even did a good job, I feel like, on the runway. Let's go here. Ethan been finding himself somewhat in the middle lately. I'm going to tell you, I don't hate this. Ethan is going to have to learn how to, especially if he's going to be doing bustiers and things, like those little cups were a little bit too small. So he's definitely going to have to work on, how to make breasts more flattering. Sometimes bigger breasts just going to need some more support than, just that. Some cups, I don't know. I don't have that problem so much, but I'm a woman. He said he's used to those boobs that, those silicone titties that don't move. And yeah, get used to you making things for real breasts. But aside from that, the skirt could have been longer. And that's it. And I mean, just a little bit longer, because I didn't have a problem with it. I'm not so much a fan of that halter top strap. But that's his thing. So I'm not even going to take that away from him. The artwork on it is good. I'm not even mad. They kept saying, I wish the print was on the outside. She could have flipped it and then at the end of the runway, put it on the other side. You know what I mean? Make it a little reversible thing. That would have been somewhat of a better reveal. Yeah, come down the runway like that, get down to the end of the runway and flip that coat over and she could put it back on. When she walk away, she got the print on the outside. I'm not mad at the dress. I just think it definitely needed to be a little bit longer. Like might see her cooch if she tilts a little bit. Heidi came in there talking about the skirt was too short, and I was like, I know you're not talking. She had a little coochie skirt on herself. So yeah, I disagree with you, Heidi. I don't think this was I don't think this was a bust. I think Ethan definitely needs to work on getting them breasts right. When you only got a day for a fitting and he did a lot of work, like you can't criticize, I think, their craftsmanship so much when you're giving them so little time to construct things. So yeah, I'm not mad at this one, Ethan. I think it should have been safe. Like they're getting down to the wire. They're not really doing top, bottom, middle at this point. So yeah, you pretty much safe. I think when you're in the bottom, sometimes it's just because you're not in the top. And it's not because you're the worst. But we down to the wire. So hell, like I said, who else can they send home? We guess we down to the finale of it all. So this one right here, Mr. I'm gonna get a date instead of paying attention. Went to the fabric store, did everything this man doesn't like. He looks like he's dressed in Jesus's clothes, first of all. Jesus is a great coat maker. I'm actually not mad at the coat because it took him a little bit out of his comfort zone. I hated the green collar. Just make the thing all, make it black because, that's a perfect, like I said, compromise between what you want and what he wants. If the lapel and the collar is all black, then, he's not feeling so fancy with sparkly things all up in his face. This blouse, cut it out. And it had like the collar. I don't know what that collar was doing. Little points of the collar were on the back of the shirt, and the whole thing should have been chunked in the trash. He should have just put like a white cotton tee under there. If he can make that shirt in a day, he can make a white cotton tee in a day. And then that would be like respect to this man's skin condition. If he got a flashy coat, the white cotton tee would have been fine. The pants are, they're neither here nor there. I don't know, I don't know. I don't hate them, so they're fine. But I think, yeah, it was that wrap blouse. And what guy do you know that wears a wrap blouse? Like the man said he didn't want to look feminine, and that's very feminine. I've never seen a man in a wrap shirt. And, I'm guessing the way they were flirting that he's a gay boy, but he's not he doesn't like that very frilly stuff. And that's where you missed the mark. You dressed yourself because it looks like, he would definitely wear all of that. They said your taste level was bad back in the day and your taste level not so great, now. So Jesus is in the bottom. Ethan is in the bottom. VJ is in the top. Who is this? Belania. Belania is in the bottom. I'm so mad at this because this coat is fire. This coat is fire. And then I don't know what happened, what she decided, what was going on in her mind. I wish they would all stop with these little shorts. That's why I say she's a junior designer. Because did she style that girl? Why did she do that to her hair? Just put it in that ponytail like that. What is happening? I don't know what she got going on. She got on some shorts and this silver lame. And silver lame looks so cheap. You got to really know what you're doing to make that look expensive. Because right now it looks like a hodgepodge of mess. I don't know what it is. La Roach said the best part about that reveal is he wished it never got revealed. Because the coat was very nice. And you could have gone with something like, if you're going to do shorts, I'm gonna show y'all a look that Glorilla had over at the MTV Awards. If you had followed with that same fabric all the way through under the coat, it could have been a little dress. It could, there's so many things that you could have done, but you should have ran it all the way. I think that girl would have liked it better. She's a simple girl. So get that shiny shit out of here. You were so determined to do what you want, and at your own detriment. When you look at Melania up there at the top, she got on black tights, yellow shoes, some little fancy, I don't know, what do you call it? Peplin circle skirt with some other kind of print on it, and a turtleneck under there. She's got, and her hair is. I like her hair, but it's a lot. I'm just saying, it's a lot of things all going on at the same time. That's not what that little girl's energy is. And she probably would have really liked that coat if you have followed through, like I said, with that plaid and some black, because she says she wears, neutral tones. But most people wear black. You didn't think about her feeling good. She was feeling uncomfortable. She probably would have loved that if you had to change it. You would have got some better energy. I don't know what you was going through when you put this little ensemble together, but y'all kept her around here, and this is what she gave you. And we're down to the finals. So who, what are we going to do with this? Y'all got us over here. I guess I'll stay. Antonio, this week's winner. He finally won one. And deservedly so. This jacket, that he had on her in the beginning. I love that jacket. He took a note from his brother. It looked very high fashion. There's so many things she could do with that jacket. And then you got another little, I feel like he put it on top of this dress, but I guess it could be worn as a dress or as a outer coat. You know what I'm saying? On top of something. So yeah, she got 1, 2, 3 pieces out of that whole situation. And then, underneath, it's almost like if you had something to do, like work to do earlier, and then at the end of the night, you want to tear it up. Very cute. She looks amazing. Her breasts look amazing. That's something that Ethan is going to definitely have to take note of. It's appropriate. The length is just right, because, this Estrada over here likes to be putting people's coochie out. And so, yeah, it's the appropriate length. She doesn't, have too much leg out, where it's, taste, it's the taste level when you start moving the hemline around. So, and the way he styled it with her hair like that, excellent job. Excellent job. And he is the clear winner this week. So, I saw this over here at the MTV Awards. No more horn tinny dresses. This one is these are 3 looks that remind me of these contestants this season. What's her name? Some F somebody Twig. I don't know her initials, but she's got on these Estrada vibes. She's got on these pants that I feel like is definitely giving Antonio Estrada. That's not who the designer is. And forgive me for not looking that up, but, I can't bring you all the information. FAO Twigs or whatever her name is, MTV Awards. But this look right here, it definitely reminds me of the Estradas and the way, the band. And I've been fussing the whole time about these little bitty bandos that they're calling, shirts. But look at there, right on trend. Sierra looking fabulous as usual. Is this coat not screaming Joseph McCray? Is it just me, or does it not feel like something that we would have gotten from Joseph McCray had they kept him here? Anyway, Glorilla is over here with this plaid. This is what I was talking about for Melania. It's a plaid like coat cape with a little dress underneath. It's plaid on plaid on plaid. And Melania, this is the kind of look I thought would be it's a bustier. You do really good with that. I just feel like there's something else she could have done with that plaid to suit her client better. But it seems like the Antonio Estrada Joseph McCray, and I'm not going to give Melania this. I would actually give this kind of shape and silhouette to Ethan. Ethan, if you calm down just a little bit, you could come up with something a little like Glorilla-ish. But seems like they all three of them will be good designers for the MTV red carpet. Regardless to what I think my personal style for these guys, I feel like yeah, they have a similar style to what's going on over here on the VMA's red carpet. La Roche was over here styling Ariana Grande for the VMAs. I'll do the Emmys next week. I don't want to make this a whole Emmy MTV thing. And I don't even know who was on the Emmy red carpet yet, but Ariana, styled by La Roche. I like it. I like all three of them actually. I would say my personal favorite is the one in the middle. The third black and white is very artistic. I love black and white. I wish I could see more of the dress, but yes. So over here at the VMAs, she had another dress on the red carpet. I didn't like that one. I forgot to put that one up there. It was a polka dot dress, something similar to what Melania be over there in her workroom doing. But these were my three looks that I picked for La Roche, and yeah, he was sitting front row with your girl Ariana Grande. So when you're talking about being a designer, whether you like him or not, and you're sitting in front of him and he's thinking about you as someone to bring to this red carpet, and he can. So developing a relationship, because that's what this fashion industry is all about. You got to be networking and getting to know these people. So, imagine I could see VJ dressing Ariana for an event. This black dress is very much V-chin. Not V-chin, U-chin. Yeah, it's time for me to sit down somewhere. But yeah, I've seen a lot of their aesthetics over here on the red carpet. I just wish, we had a chance to see them do things like at their better and not just in one day, because it didn't service them well. And yeah, like I said, it seems like they were all on trend. So down to the runway, they didn't make us wait until next week, y'all. They just made a decision now. They got down to the runway. They said, who were the bottom two? Melania and Jesus. Bottom two. And the judges sent both of them home. And I was like, well, dang. So I guess that means there's 2 more episodes, because that's what it's broken down to. So Melania and Jesus are gone. That leaves VJ, Antonio, and Ethan. So there it is. We don't have a show without more than 3 people. I mean, without at least 3 people. You can't eliminate anymore. So these are the final 3. VJ. Golly, they didn't even get to do the avant-garde challenge. I don't understand. Y'all are over here making people make clothes for, people with eczema and skin conditions instead of doing the avant-garde challenge. That doesn't make any sense. So now it's down to the final 3. There, that's what it is. Final 3 and then runway. We don't have no, Tim Gunn going back to check and see how they're working. They're going to brush it all down next week. The whole, preparing for their collection. How long do they get to prepare for their collection? A week? For goodness sakes. Y'all let me know. I don't know what's going on over here. So these are the final 3. We will be seeing the runway of Antonio Estrada, VJ, and Ethan, a.k.a. Utica. I wish I could say I was excited, but I'm not. But, we'll be here. We've been here for these last few episodes. We might as well ride it on out, y'all. Like the video. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see y'all Saturday. Unless I change my mind. Otherwise, I'll see you when I see you. Bye, y'all.